I think it signals a lot of good things, actually. It certainly signals an expanding audience, certainly an expanding audience since I grew up in New York and went to MoMA as a teenager, where I could have the galleries alone. And of course, many of us are nostalgic for that, but being something of a populist myself, I'm really thrilled that these institutions have this extraordinary power that people want to be part of, power to tell stories from around the world and down the block, power to help us find our place in a larger world, power to make us think and make us joyful and also help us see the things that maybe need to be seen that aren't so pleasurable. So I think being open 7 days a week means that there's an audience. And I think Glenn Lowry, who I think is the best museum director I've ever met, really felt that we had an obligation to our public to be open as many hours as we could be, to accommodate the many different schedules of people in this city and around the world who come here. You know, it's a very complicated question. And part of me is extremely enthusiastic about the roles I see women taking on and occupying. You know, we have had two extremely influential women who have run the State Department in this country. There are increasing numbers of women who are running countries. And not so long ago, there were many women who were running major museums in this country. When I look at those museums, it was Cleveland and LA County and Philadelphia and Walker. Actually, only one of them, the Walker, is still run by a woman. So there are days that I think it is still an uphill battle for women. Maybe battle is too strong a word. Maybe there are less battles and more strategic impulses at work. But I think, you know, the financial world is still primarily run by men, and money often equates with a power to make decisions. And so I think we still have a ways to go. Though I will say again, MoMA is remarkable. It was founded by 3 women. There have been remarkable women presidents in recent years, Aggie Gund and Marie-Josée Kravis. So the voice of women is quite loud at MoMA. And I will say again, Glenn has hired, I think, very strong women. He has surrounded himself with very strong women. I can't imagine many people hiring me in the position he did, because as he says, I'm not a shrinking violet. But it's one of the most joyful relationships I've ever had, and I feel free to be expressive and to be wrong. I would be the first to say that I offer him advice freely, but it's not always good advice. I would say be extraordinarily prepared, see everything, read everything, be in the world, meeting people, talking to people, becoming really an expert in the field that you want to work in, and then really working like a dog. There is no way around that. And in order to do both those things, you have to love what you're doing. So if you think it's a job, it's probably not something you should do. There has to be some pleasure in every scrap of the job. or maybe not every, but there has to be pleasure in the hours you spend doing something and thinking about something. But I think it is important to have a network of like-minded people and supporters of your generation. It's good to try and meet people of another generation. I mean, for me, it's extremely important to be working also with younger people and seeing how they see the world, seeing what's interesting to them, arguing with them. And it's impossible to be a mentor to everybody, but there are lots of good mentors out there. And sometimes they're not always in your field. Hone your own vision, find your own voice. And I think sometimes in our haste to climb up a ladder, and honestly, I never even knew where the ladder was. I've been extremely fortunate. We forget that there are other people on that ladder, and that we, rather than pushing them away, should help them up, and that there are enormous things we can learn from each other.